Alright, what is going on, guys? Chris here, and welcome to episode 6 of HariboCast. Now, I've not been doing these videos frequently, but I'm really glad we've managed to keep it going until episode 6. I had my kind of doubts, and I thought I might stop after 5, but you guys have seemed pretty interested in the podcast so far, so I'm going to keep going as long as possible. Now, today's podcast is going to be a little bit different. Partly through being too busy and partly through just being lazy, I've not actually got any guests on this episode, so it is just going to be me, and I'm going to be focusing the kind of subject matter of this podcast around myself as a cuber. Now, I've not written a script for this, I'm just going to kind of go with it and see where we end up, but I'm planning on just telling you guys a little bit about how I got into cubing. A lot of you guys know when I started YouTubing, and I have all my old videos on my channel, but I don't think I've actually told many people exactly how I started, so we're going to be doing that. If you've not already, pause the video, go get yourself some popcorn and like some soda or something, I don't know, and then we'll get started with this video. So I wasn't actually interested in Rubik's Cubes for a really long time. I knew what they were, and I knew that they were supposed to be the most difficult puzzle in the world, so I just figured I'd never be able to do it, and I never bothered to learn. Again, I knew what they were. I even had one. I had like a store-bought tiled 3x3, and I mixed it up. I did that thing where you do it a few moves and then put it back, and then you never quite scramble it until... yeah, I accidentally scrambled it, and there you go, I messed it up. But yeah, I never really was interested in it until I figured out that my uncle could actually solve the 3x3, and he did a really strange method. He came up with his own way to solve the puzzle. It was very similar to the beginner's method, but you just did the pieces kind of a different way round. You started with corners on the first face, then edges, then you did your F2L pairs, and then you did, what did you do? You did PLL before you did OLL. So it was a bit of a weird method, but I learned how to solve the 3x3 doing that method. And, I kind of learned how to do that in about 2008 or so. And it took me quite a while to solve it. It was about 3 minutes on average. And I think the best time I ever got using that method was 1 minute 17 seconds. I don't know why I remember that, I just do. So obviously, I could just kind of solve a Rubik's Cube. A lot of people can, and it's just like a party trick or whatever. I didn't really think that much of it, and I actually just completely gave up. I got to about 1.5 minutes on average, and then I just kind of lost interest and didn't think about it again until about 2010. So, I'd been able to solve a Rubik's Cube for about 2 years and then came back to it. My friend had a Rubik's Cube in school and he couldn't solve it, and I said, oh yeah, I can solve them, and lo and behold, I'd actually forgotten how to solve a 3x3. I could do the first 2 layers no problem. It was just doing the PLL. Obviously I did PLL first. It was when I got to that stage that I couldn't remember the algorithm for it, and I was a bit embarrassed actually, because I told this guy that I could do it, and then obviously I couldn't solve it. So when I went home that night, I found my old Rubik's Cube and I learned how to solve it properly this time using kind of like beginner's CFOP. So first layer, then F2L edges, and then OLL, then PLL. So I kind of learned it a different way round, and I thought it was a much better method. That's because it was much faster. And from there, I just kind of got really interested in it. I couldn't tell you why exactly. I just thought it was really interesting how there were different ways to solve it. So from there, I started to get interested in the Petrus method, and then a little bit with Roux, but I was nowhere near skilled enough to do Roux. I didn't understand the method at all. But then I realized that there wasn't just the 3x3, there was the 2x2, the 4x4, and all these other kinds of puzzles. Now, the kind of market hadn't really took off yet, so we only really had 2x2 to 5x5. This was actually before the V-Cube 6, I think, or at least when I started getting into it, it had very recently released. So there weren't that many puzzles around, but I realised that we had the 2x2, 4x4, and 5x5, and once I realised that, I just couldn't stay away. I just bought them straight away. I learned how to solve the 2x2 on a little Rubik's Pocket Cube, and then I learned the 4x4 and 5x5. And the reason I'd learned about these puzzles was because of YouTube videos. So I kind of thought to myself, what if I tried a YouTube video? And I saw that there were these things called unboxings where people tested out the puzzles on camera straight out of the box. So I got myself an Ishin 4x4 and 5x5, and I made an unboxing of them on a really old Sony camcorder, and I think the memory stick I used was like 512 megabytes. The quality was rubbish, but I guess it did the job. I recorded my first ever video, and I thought, you know what, let's make a YouTube channel. And that's how Haribo 41296 was born. Haribo is kind of a nickname I get because my name's Chris Harrison. At school, some of my friends called me Haribo. And then 41296, this is asked quite a lot. That's my date of birth, and it's not the 12th of April, it's actually the 4th of December, because in the UK, you do the day of the month before the month. So it's actually 4th of December 1996. So for those of you that didn't know that, there you go. So I uploaded this video, and then I found something called a Ball Magic 3x3, and it was super interesting. It was just a 3x3, but in ball shape. So I thought it was cool. I wanted to know where I could find one, so I messaged the person who had made the video on it. Her name was Millie Everett 511, and we are basically best friends now. We've been talking on and off for about 6 years or so, actually. But yeah, she told me where I could buy one. I bought one, made a video on it, and it just kind of went from there. Every time I saw an interesting puzzle, I thought, hey, you know what, let's try that out. And I would buy it with my pocket money, I'd make a video on it, I'd learn how to solve it, maybe do a review on it, and things kind of just built up from there. The VCube 6 came out, the VCube 7 came out, all these different puzzles, and I amassed quite a collection. So I can't really tell you guys every single puzzle that I bought because there were too many. My collection was huge at one point. But I was really into like cuboids and shape-shifting puzzles. I wasn't really interested in speed cubing that much. That was until about 2012. I went to my first competition in November. That was the UK Open 2012. And that was when I kind of first got into speed cubing. But until then, I was mainly just interested in trying out as many different puzzles as possible. So we had like the Fisher cube, the Axis cube, all these different types of puzzles. The cuboids, the 4x4x6 was coming out. Crazy Bad Cuber was making all these kind of shape mods with Calvin's puzzle and all of these things. They were super interesting puzzles because this was about the time when the cubing market really took off. Until then, there was no such thing as a speed cube. The Dian Taiyan, I think, was the first one. That one had only just come out. The Guhong had only just been announced, I think. And then obviously you got the Lingyun, the Lunhoi, and the Zanchi, and then eventually the Panshi. So speed cubing wasn't really a thing when I started cubing. We used the Rubik's DIY 3x3, which is pretty bad, but it was the best puzzle at the time. There was no such thing as Moyu, Mofanga, or Chi. That wasn't around. So I guess there wasn't really a focus on speed cubing until those puzzles started to appear. So like I said, I just kept making videos. They were rubbish videos. In fact, I've deleted all of them. I don't actually have them anymore, which I kind of regret, but they were really bad quality, like 360p. And I sounded really bad in all of them. If you've seen some of my older videos, you'll know how depressed I sound in all of them. So they weren't very good videos. It's probably for the best that they're not on my channel anymore. But yeah, I made almost like 300 videos. And then I got my first HD camera. I went to the UK Open 2012 and things just built up and up and up. And I started to get popular. I think I got about 700 subscribers or so on YouTube. And then GCSEs happened, and you all know what GCSEs are like. Oh my gosh. For those of you in America, GCSEs are like the end of high school exams. If you want to go up to college, you need to do well in these exams if you want to go to a good school. So you basically do them when you're about 16 years old, and they're pretty gross. They're really bad. There was about 10 exams. So yeah, that took up all my time, and I actually kind of gave up on cubing. Obviously, I still kept kind of some of the skills. I can still solve a 3x3 at this point, 4x4, 5x5. I just kind of lost interest. I sold a lot of my puzzles. I just didn't really have time anymore. And then after GCSEs, we went on to A-levels, which I'm not sure what the equivalent of this is in America, but it's kind of like a 2-year program before university. So that was even more stress. We did 4 A-levels and then dropped down to 3. And it's basically just studying subjects in really, really like deep detail. So that took up all my time, and at this point, I'd just kind of forgotten about Haribo 41296. I'm going to be honest, I never really thought about it, and that was until I finished my A-levels, and I was about to go to university in summer, and I decided to kind of kick back with the channel. I found quite a few of my old puzzles, and I just really wanted to do something with myself. So I figured, why not kind of start slowly and work my way back into the community. We had loads of Moyu puzzles at this point. Diane was kind of still a thing, and Chi was becoming a thing. So, we also had Fangxi as well. They were releasing some quite nice products. So I was a bit late to the party, but I kind of worked my way back in. And then, I don't know. I don't really know what happened. I just kind of wanted to make vlogs instead, so I did that. And that's where Haribo 41296 went completely wrong for a while. I made vlogs for almost a year, and I lost a lot of subscribers doing that. And it wasn't until summer of 2016 that I decided, okay, I want to do cubing from now on. I still had all my cubes from like my little period of making videos again, and I wanted something to say that I could do, something that was mine. Previously it had been music, I'd play guitar and piano, then it was vlogs, and people didn't really like them, I didn't get many views, and I watched back a few of my videos and it was super boring, so I thought, oh, what should I do now? And then I found my 3x3 and I just thought, hey, I'm not so bad at this, like, yeah, I'll never be world class, but I can solve a Rubik's Cube in 20 seconds, I can solve a 4x4 in 1.5 minutes. Let's go with it, let's do it. And since then, I've just not really looked back. I've been making cubing videos for well over 6 months now, and my channel has just grown so much. I have a partnership with Joe from cornertwist.com, previously ukcubes.com. I have really good rapport with companies like Lightake and Magic Cube Mall, and I'm just having the best time. Like, honestly, previously on YouTube, I feel like I've been just a guy talking to a camera. That was like way back in the past when I didn't have many subscribers. And now I think I've just found myself on YouTube, and I feel really happy with where I am. You guys are clearly happy with the videos that I've been making. I'm super happy with the videos I'm making. I would preferably like to make more than 1 video a week, but of course university work does have to take priority, so I feel like 1 video a week is definitely manageable, and I'm really enjoying doing that. And I'm just super happy at the moment, so there's not really anything else that I could ask for. So yeah, that's kind of my cubing journey from about 2008 onwards, and this has been a huge rant, and I apologise for that, but I didn't have a script, I just kind of went with it, and it was kind of nice to just tell you guys a little bit about where this channel initially came from, because I've never really said anything like this. It's always just been, I got into cubing at this point or whatever, so yeah, that's kind of the draw my cubing life, I suppose, without the drawing as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this kind of solo podcast. I've definitely enjoyed just sitting here, and yeah, make sure you leave your suggestions for any other kind of topics for discussion, and next time we'll probably have Joe from Corner Twist back on the series. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed, leave a like. Again, leave your suggestions in the comments, and then subscribe to be notified whenever I make a new podcast. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys soon.